Greetings, I'm Abigail. I've come across some remarkable mother-in-law stories that resonate with my own experiences. Similar to some of these narratives, my life was nearly derailed by my now ex-husband Stephen and mother-in-law Doris. Interestingly, my sister-in-law Judy became a supportive friend and confidant during this challenging time. Allow me to share how I avoided being trapped in the financial burden created by Stephen and Doris. My marriage to Stephen was relatively recent, and unfortunately, it didn't last long. In hindsight, I consider it a blessing in disguise as I discovered his true nature. I craved love, and Stephen seemed to understand that, showering me with affection. Both of us had stable jobs, leading us to decide on marriage approximately 4 years into our relationship. Admittedly, it was a rushed decision, and little did I know about the facade of Stephen's love. Shortly after our marriage, Stephen revealed a shocking truth. He confessed to hiding that he had lost his job just before we married. This revelation left me bewildered and scared. He apologized, explaining that he was ashamed, fearing societal judgment, as men in his family who couldn't provide were looked down upon. Despite my disappointment, I supported him as he searched for a new job. However, as time passed, Stephen made no effort to find employment, even 11 months into our marriage. Adding to my challenges, I found myself financially supporting his mother, Doris, with a monthly allowance. Doris, a difficult woman, treated me poorly, branding me a gold digger publicly and humiliating me at every opportunity. What made matters worse was Stephen's lack of intervention, leaving it to his sister Judy to stand up for me. In a private conversation, Judy expressed her concern, acknowledging that her family might not be the best people. She confided that they would never appreciate me solely because I was a woman. Drawing from her own experiences, Judy's advice became a turning point for me, prompting me to reassess my situation. I've had a well-established career, yet my mother constantly criticizes Stephen simply because he's a man. Judy's words resonated deeply as Doris consistently belittled women while showering her son with praise. I had often wondered how she would react when she learned that I was the one covering her expenses. Back then, I could never have anticipated witnessing her first-hand reaction and discovering the true nature of Stephen. It all unfolded during a family dinner to which I was invited. The atmosphere was lively with many people from Stephen's side present. However, my husband's actions left me utterly speechless. He proudly claimed himself as the family's breadwinner, which I could have accepted. Unfortunately, he didn't stop there. Instead, he proceeded to mock and fabricate lies about me, highlighting how I earned very little and made him cover my so-called luxuries. The room echoed with laughter as he painted me as a gold digger. Doris seized the opportunity to affirm her long-standing disdain for me, declaring that she had always been right about my alleged freeloading tendencies. Stephen continued his disparaging remarks, expressing gratitude that his hard work allowed him to support me. Despite his inclination towards charitable endeavors, he insinuated that I couldn't manage my expenses, and that without him, I would be destitute. According to him, I deserved homelessness for my supposed laziness. Hearing these words from Stephen and Doris left me stunned. While I had always known about Doris's animosity, Stephen's betrayal was a profound shock. I couldn't fathom that he would fabricate such lies, not only falsely claiming to be the breadwinner, but also endorsing harmful stereotypes about me. However, he didn't stop mocking me. I was on the verge of tears due to the pain. Judy intervened, deciding to halt the conversation. She asserted, "You four are being unnecessarily cruel to Abigail. She's a great person and a hard-working woman. She doesn't deserve your horrible words. You should apologize to her." Unmoved, Stephen and Doris questioned the need for an apology, insisting they were merely speaking the truth. According to them, I should be the one apologizing for being a supposed parasite. Doris even went so far as to liken me to a pet, claiming that I couldn't even support myself, emphasizing that men should take care of their women as women are naturally dependent on men. Amidst their laughter and toxic remarks, Judy herself, a hard-working woman, felt the sting of their words witnessing her mom praised Stephen simply because he was a man deeply hurt her. Meanwhile, my initial hurt transformed into seething anger. Despite having devoted my time and money to caring for them, I found myself unable to recognize Stephen anymore. Suppressing the urge to confront them then and there, I endured Stephen and Doris's continued jokes until I couldn't take it any longer. Feigning a headache, I had to excuse myself from the family dinner prematurely, much to Stephen's apparent disappointment. Upon our return home, I finally confronted Stephen, unleashing my frustration. I demanded an explanation for his hurtful words, emphasizing that I was not a parasite living off him. I pointed out that he was the one not working anymore. In response, he dismissed it as not being a big deal, attributing his comments to the supposed machismo and his family. According to him, it wouldn't bode well if people knew the truth about our situation. I found myself unemployed, and instead of supporting me, you went out of your way to label me a parasite. Rather than simply fabricating a job, you chose to denigrate me in front of our entire family just to boost your ego. How do you justify this? I demanded. Stephen dismissed, attempting to trivialize the situation. You're being overly dramatic today, Abigail. Learn to let things go. You're spoiling all my fun. Now calm down and go back to sleep. It's been a long night, Stephen dismissed, attempting to trivialize the situation. No, absolutely not. I won't pretend I was okay with what you did today. Did you even hear what your mother said? Instead of defending me, you joined Doris in humiliating me even more, I protested, refusing to back down. Leave my mother out of this, Abigail. You're the one who can't take some jokes and harmless teasing. You're simply blaming us for your insecurities. Let's go to bed. You have to work tomorrow, Stephen remarked casually, heading to the bedroom to sleep. Stunned by his nonchalant dismissal of my feelings, I realized he couldn't understand why I was reacting this way. That night, I stayed on the couch, reflecting on everything. It became clear that I had been a fool. Stephen and his mother were using me to fund their lives without any genuine feelings. Stephen's attitude further revealed that our marriage had become financially abusive. I knew I needed to get out. The next day, Stephen acted as if nothing had happened, conveniently forgetting his insulting remarks. When I tried to discuss it again, he repeatedly shut me down. Frustrated, I realized it was time to make a decision. Before doing anything, I reached out to Judy, expressing gratitude for being the only one who stood up for me, even if it was a feeble attempt. Stephen and Mom can be quite ruthless when they decide to act, and it was certainly inappropriate for Stephen to manipulate you in that manner just because he's perceived as the breadwinner, I told Judy. About that, Judy, Stephen has been deceiving everyone. He hasn't been the breadwinner for the past 5 months, having left his job, a fact he hasn't disclosed to anyone. Surprisingly, even Mom is unaware of this. Doris had no clue that her son wasn't providing her allowance. It was me giving her the money. Stephen wouldn't compromise his macho image, not even with his mother, so he's been dishonest with her too. I can't fathom dealing with these people, and for you, Judy, it must be incredibly challenging, I revealed. I've reached my limit as the AGM for Stephen and Doris. I've come to realize that Stephen married me solely for financial gain, knowing I craved love and would comply with his wishes. Thankfully, I uncovered his true motives before wasting more years on him. Judy, I've had enough, and I'm planning to take action. I confided in you because I believe you can support me, I explained. Abigail, I understand your predicament. I've suffered for years as well. Please share your plans and I'll do my best to assist you. I comprehend your position, and I'm here for you, Judy reassured me. I informed Judy about my intentions. I aim to teach Stephen and Doris a lesson for their regressive views on women and make them understand they can't exploit others at will. Together, Judy and I devised a plan and set it in motion. I consulted with a lawyer addressing certain matters and decided to wait a week before initiating the first part of my plan. Once the week elapsed, I was ready to confront Stephen, just 11 months into our marriage. I sat him down and disclosed a crucial matter. I urged him to be patient and listen, but he dismissed it as another trivial issue, frustrated. He insisted I dropped the matter and stopped being dramatic, expressing his disdain for dramatic women. That's when I delivered the news to Stephen that he no longer had to be with me because I had filed for the annulment of our marriage. He was taken aback and thought I was joking. When he asked why I initiated the annulment, I explained that he lied about being employed and manipulated me into supporting his freeloading lifestyle. When I attempt to communicate with you, I realize that you no longer care about my feelings. Moreover, you did nothing to shield me from your mother, Abigail. Those were not just minor inconveniences, they were significant betrayals, I told him. However, Stephen, we don't need to pursue an annulment solely based on that. What's your plan, Stephen? Do you intend to keep me in limbo for a few more years until you're ready to claim alimony? Well, those plans won't work anymore. I see through your facade, Stephen. You used me to support both your life and your mother's, giving me nothing but insults and shame in return, I continued. As he looked at my enraged expression, he began to apologize, finally realizing that I was not the doormat he once imagined. I am a woman who knows how to stand up for herself, I told him. The moment you heard the word annulment, you understood that your human ATM was about to break free, I said. He pleaded with me, unaware of what else I had in store for him. He begged me not to end everything, claiming we were once happy together. But I called this more than a small mishap. For days, I've tried to discuss your actions with you, but you consistently ignored me, becoming furious each time I brought it up. You never apologized for your behavior, and our once good relationship deteriorated when you tricked me into supporting you and your mother. I don't want your insincere apology, Stephen. I'm done with you, and we are proceeding with the annulment. And there's one more thing I forgot to mention, I said. I pulled out some documents and handed them to him as he read the papers. Shock overcame him. Yes, Stephen, these documents are about our marriage annulment and your eviction notice. Since I've already informed you about the annulment, I thought it fitting to provide you with the eviction papers as well, I explained. He panicked, pleading with me, claiming I can't kick him out because he's my husband. But where is your attention, Stephen? I've already made it clear that I've filed for an annulment. You won't be my husband for much longer, and yes, I am indeed asking you to leave. I find myself with no alternative place to turn. It's not feasible for me to confide in Mom about losing my job. That's out of the question. You, on the other hand, had no qualms about fabricating details to Doris regarding your employment situation. I'm confident you'll devise a solution, craft a narrative, or employ some strategy, I asserted. As for your mother, she won't receive any more financial assistance from me. However, in my generosity, I'm affording you the time to devise a plan before the month concludes. I've stated my position. I concluded, leaving Stephen to navigate this predicament independently. Anticipating his call to Judy for assistance, we'd orchestrated the plan such that she would staunchly refuse any aid. Having endured enough humiliation, Judy was eager to sever ties and willingly participated in my scheme. Throughout the next month, Stephen attempted every conceivable gesture to change my stance, adopting a romantic demeanor and showering me with affection. He even purchased gifts using the last allowance I provided. I simply left them in the main bedroom and retired to the guest room, granting him the main bedroom as my parting gesture, knowing he'd likely be facing the cold street soon. He remained convinced I wouldn't evict him. Meanwhile, Doris remained oblivious to the unfolding events. When the month concluded and she didn't receive her allowance, she stormed into my house, accusing me of intentionally withholding it. I denied her claims, asserting that Stephen's financial decisions were his own. Unfazed, she insisted that Stephen had informed everyone about my supposed dependency on him and alleged draining of his accounts, even eyeing her money. I dismissed her accusations, clarifying that it was never her money to begin with. When she challenged my denial, I questioned what she intended to proclaim to the world about Stephen's success. When I informed you that Stephen was unemployed and I was the one providing financial support, you dismissed it as nonsense. Others, too, would not believe it. Stephen had consistently portrayed himself as the breadwinner of our household. However, when confronted by Doris, Stephen remained silent, unable to continue the facade. As Doris prodded him to assert his status as the breadwinner, Stephen finally admitted the truth. I, not Stephen, was the sole provider of our household, I revealed. Doris vehemently rejected this revelation, insisting that her son wouldn't depend on a woman. Unfazed, I informed her that I had given Stephen an eviction notice a month prior, and he was to move out by the coming week. Doris, shocked by this revelation, interrogated Stephen, leading to the admission of the truth. Realizing her dependency on me, Doris pleaded with me not to leave Stephen and to continue covering their expenses. I laughed at their pleas, reminding Doris of her disdain for me just a month ago. Over the next week, both Stephen and Doris continued their relentless appeals, apologizing and begging me to reconsider. However, I stood firm. When the week elapsed, I ordered Stephen to leave my property, threatening police involvement if he resisted. He departed with his belongings, moving in with Doris. Judy informed me of their attempts to seek money from her, which she adamantly refused. I blocked their numbers and instructed Stephen to communicate through a lawyer. Our separation proceeded smoothly, as Stephen lacked the financial means to contest it in court. Eventually, I heard that they were being evicted from Doris's apartment due to months of unpaid rent. Cut off from Judy's support, they resorted to couch surfing at relatives' places, facing uncertain prospects. Meanwhile, I focused on rebuilding my life and embracing contentment on my own. I vowed not to fall into anyone's trap again, hopeful that I would find my true soulmate in the future.